Hey everybody, how's it going today? It is me, Captain Energy, and today we're taking a look at the circuit tracks. Yes, it's been a while since I've pulled out the circuit tracks, but a couple questions have come up that I feel like need some answering, so I thought I would get into that for you. First, here's my circuit tracks. If you are not familiar with this device, this is an 8-track sequencer of sorts. The last 4 tracks right here, it's basically they go in MIDI number across the top. So you got 1 through 8, okay? So 5, 6, 7, and 8 are sample tracks. Now, these sampler tracks are single samples. For example, you could have a loop, you could have a drum, you could have a vocal, yell or whatever, and you could just trigger one of those sounds here. The first 2 are from the built-in synthesizer. There is a built-in synthesizer on here that has 2 different voices, and they are available on channel 1 and 2. Well, channel 3 and 4, as you can see here, if you have one of these devices, maybe you can see it on the screen, hopefully, it says MIDI. Well, what that is that channel 3 and 4 get spit out the back here through this MIDI port. This is the part that's been the question. Some people have asked, how do you hook up additional devices to this? Well, there are a couple ways, okay? This is the basically way to do both of them at the same time. One of the devices I don't have here, which would be a MIDI splitter type device that would let you plug it out to a device that split this output to 4 different channels or 8 different channels or whatever, and then you could plug in. It would make more sense that way, but the way that we're doing it is all the channels come out on one wire anyway. The thing you run into is that if you have too many devices between, I'll say A and the end, Z, whatever that would be, of the chain. So if you have 16 devices and you had 16 MIDI channels, the 16th device gets its sound just a little later, and it can cause latency issues. Are they perceivable? Maybe in some cases. It depends on what you've got going on. It depends on the devices in between and whether they are a true through. For example, like here, this is a MIDI out or through, where this one's just a MIDI through. The MIDI through just pushes it right out immediately. The MIDI out and throughs sometimes add a smidge of latency because they've got to do something else in their circuitry somewhere to push the signal out. I don't know why that is exactly. It's just been my experience. That's how it's worked. The point here is that you only have, as far as the device is concerned, it only thinks it's going to send out to 2 MIDI devices. However, there is one thing you should know. If you want to completely forego the capabilities of this device and just use it as a MIDI sequencer, you can. You can have channel 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5, 6, 7, and 8 go out of the back here to other devices. So you could theoretically just say, I don't even care about this synthesizer in here. I hate this synthesizer, whatever. I like it actually personally, but I'm just saying you could think this synthesizer is no good and just have 2 more instruments if you want to do. Right now, I've got my Behringer Crave and my Behringer Model D right here hooked up as instrument 3 and 4. Okay, so right now if we go over here and we go to a note, and that's my built-in synth. That's my Crave. Turn that up a little bit. And there's a Model D. Okay. Yeah. And I've got a little sequence set up here just to show you how this is all hooked up, or how this all works. Just, it's nothing in super amazing, but, just playing around. So we've got drum. My first drum I have set up as a kick. Here we've got some kind of Congo, bongo type sounds. Hi-hats, of course. What would one of my tracks be without a clap? And then we've got our sequences here. So here we go. Model D. There's my Crave. Anyway, just a little something. But the point is, so I've got one MIDI cable coming out of the out here, okay? And I've got that MIDI cable going right into the in on the Model D, which has a MIDI through. That comes right over here. The big trick here is that on the back of these devices, okay, there are these switches right here. And you just need to consult your manual to see what positions they need to be in to either be set to the appropriate channels, basically, so that this one receives, so that whatever's plugged in you want to be your third instrument is receiving channel 3, and whatever you want to be your fourth instrument is receiving channel 4. These switches were set based off of the manuals that came with these devices. Some devices don't have a manual switch like that, a trigger switch. All the Behringer stuff seems to have what they call dip switches, or direct input switches. And there are 4, and it's generally set up in binary, which let me see here. I'm going to put right up on the screen here just a little example of how binary works for the 16 channels generally. And you can take what you want from that as far as how to make this work. But basically, there are 16 positions on those switches, and each or 16 different combinations on those switches of up and down. And depending which one you select will determine which channel the MIDI is coming out through. So, for example, if they're all down, it's channel 1. If they're all up, it's channel 16. And then the in-betweens are variants of that. I hope that helps get you guys started here at least. Now, you can record any of the controls that this device has here can be pushed to your other devices, as long as they match up. But the other side of it, of course, is that you have manual access. This is one of the cool parts, I think. And you did see me use it there a minute ago, because I was using the master filter here, which you'll notice it's not having any effect on that instrument. One instrument just, everything else is getting filtered out. But the Model D isn't. That's because the Model D I've got running directly audio-wise into my mixer, where I have the Crave audio right here running. It's running my patch bay right now, but the patch bay. I'm sorry, no, it's not running my patch bay. It's running right in. It's running right in right here. You'll see these channels. Here's my out from my Crave to the in on the Circuit Tracks. Now, what that does for me is it allows me to utilize the Circuit Tracks effects and filters, so that I can filter my audio through this device, which is awesome. I love that. The problem I have is that there's only one stereo in on the back here, and so all your audio comes through that, and that means both instruments would either have to go through a mixer of sorts, which I have a small mixer I could have used, I suppose, and piped it in. Also, the instrument, like the Model D, is mono out. The Crave is also mono out, but it has a stereo out here, and there's no way to pan, as far as I know, these instruments on these channels so that you get them both through both sides. You'll end up with one on one side, one on the other. So I just ran it through stereo, mono to stereo, basically spit in there, so that I would get an even distribution of the Crave, and this guy just kind of had to suffer and go through the other mixer. But yeah, that's basically the way you set it up, though. So basically MIDI out to MIDI in, okay? MIDI out to MIDI in. It's always out to in or in to out. It's never in to in, out to out. A lot of times you'll look at that. I know a lot of people have looked at it and said, oh, so I plugged the out on this one to the out on that one, and then I'm like, well, think like plumbing. If you hook up water to two outs, no water can come through. You need water to come in one side and go out the other. That's how MIDI works. It flows like water. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if that was useful to anybody out there. And if it was, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. If you have more questions about Circuit Tracks, the Behringer Crave, the Behringer Model D, or any of the other devices you've seen on this channel, or other devices you haven't seen on this channel, or softwares that I've used on this channel, feel free to hit me up in the comments. I will be happy to try and answer your questions. Have an awesome day, and I hope this will get you going and making something amazing. Take care. Bye for now.